Monday, March 23rd, 2024. This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jacob Payne, and in the queue, 10 stories, news headlines from the past weekend that you vetted as conversational, covering topics including information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. We'll explain what conversational means and the vetting process for that in a bit, plus some fun things, including a new fun thing that hopefully we can keep up going on because you want pithy stuff, you want smart stuff. We got stuff for you here in this headline update thingamabobber, coming to you live at 5:50 a.m. every morning, weekday morning, I should say, Central Time. So make sure you check us out live or get the replay in either the audio form, the video form, or get the newsletter, which comes out about 6:20 or so, right as we wrap up things going on. Enough of that stuff. You want more stuff like that, more of the deals behind the deals, go to our website, thisisaconversationproject.com, and find out more information about us, and email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com for more details on how to chat me up. You give me details and I'll chat it up. Let's get into the headlines for this morning. These are headlines in no particular order, but we'll give you some details on how they got to be where they are in this lineup for today. But these are headlines, as I said, for the past weekend, Friday through early this morning, for Monday, March 23rd, 2023. The first headline for the day, going for the big one right off the bat, is this one right here. Princess Kate announces she is undergoing treatment for cancer. We had some dual headlines happening going into the weekend, and it was an odd thing because I was at home, working from home, working more on side stuff than actual work. So I was trying to piece together things for the news broadcast going forward. And we're dealing with the video that came out that essentially had Anderson Cooper come on live in the middle of the day when I think he actually had the day off, talking about Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton released a video on this last weekend. Essentially, if you're watching video, you're seeing the picture of her right there, sitting on the bench, produced by the BBC, not by the royal family, not by Kensington Palace. The BBC produced a video basically saying why she's been missing and why all the weird things are been speculating. She's been undergoing cancer treatment, just like her father-in-law, King Charles. She found out after her surgery that the issues were cancerous. And so she's going through early stages of chemotherapy. She wanted some privacy. The family, wanted some privacy for the kids and were trying to wait till basically spring break was happening. And so they were trying not to make a big deal for it for the world, because eventually the world had to find out. And then all the craziness happened with the photoshopping or whatever. And we're not sure why the photoshopping was an issue, other than the fact making a new picture from an old picture for Mother's Day. Maybe that was the whole deal. But we now know the reasons why Kate was out. She's undergoing chemotherapy. A lot of people apologizing, with words for the crazy things they said. Some people still thinking is more kind of crazy. We will see how this thing plays out. We send plenty of love and well wishes to the palace, to the kingdom, to those folks there, even though we don't have a kingdom. Many people here care about what goes on in the lives of the royals, and many people, of course, over there follow the royals like it's a sport, because it almost is. Much well wishes, get well much soon for Kate Middleton. Let's go into the story that's headline number 2 this morning. As I said, dueling headlines. This is the original headline we posted. Things changed as it went along, and the story changed a lot. But we posted originally at least 40 killed, more than 100 wounded in attack on Russia's Crocus City Hall. There was a concert that was about to go off at this big entertainment venue, and then all of a sudden they were attacked. I believe 5 attackers total. I think 4 have been brought into custody that were attached to ISIS-K, another branch of ISIS that essentially each branch we hear about these days is worse than the last one. This one, again, basically people who were too bad for the ISIS are now in this ISIS here. Although Vladimir Putin is saying, no, not ISIS, it's from Ukraine. And there's that going back and forth. The United States said they had a message to the Russians earlier this week saying, hey, there's a possible threat going on. And Russia's like, well, it wasn't really all that detailed. It was kind of, vague. And it's not really the ISIS. It's actually the Ukrainians. So there's that. We do know this vast mass murder had about 130 people total that died from the incident, and it's something that is coverage for Russia and the world, as Russia is number one, is dealing with issue with people in the Ukraine. And of course, they do have actual issues with separatists in various states of ISIS inside of Russia. They've been quiet for quite some time, no longer quiet apparently, as ISIS is claiming responsibility, and no one has any reason not to doubt them other than apparently the Russians, of all people. Our headline at number 3 this morning, this story reads, LSU coach Kim Mulkey lashes out at Washington Post, threatens legal action. Why would Kim Mulkey do that? This is an interesting story because it's about a story. The Washington Post has a article that sharply criticized Kim Mulkey, and she's threatened to sue them on that. Here's where it gets even odder. Kim Mulkey has been asked for 2 years for responses to the article. It's basically talking about how she's a bad coach, bad person, maybe, how she runs the program at LSU, and how former players say she's not very good, or she's very, very mean on most part. Basically, she's an evil person. And the Post has been basically asking her for 2 years to comment on some of the responses. She has not, so they posted something, and now she's mad at it. So there's two sides. This is a two-sided thing where the Post has a story. They put it out there for people to see. Mulkey is debating the story. Actually does say no, it's not true. But she had a chance to dispute it literally before it got published 2 years ago. Headline for story number 4. It reads, no charges to be filed in fight involving Oklahoma non-binary team, Nex Benedict, prosecutors say. The story for Nex Benedict does not end, and it does not end here, but we do have another chapter to basically explain to you. The case for Nex Benedict is, it's an interesting case, but the 16-year-old from Owaska, Oklahoma, who is non-binary, goes with the pronouns they, them. The people in the fight that happened the day before death are seeing no charges, as they're seeing essentially it's not the cause for the death. Her death has been ruled as suicide, so that is essentially taking the kids that were in the fight out of any possible danger from being prosecuted on that one, so there's no reason to actually put any charges in there. The death and the incident are two separate things. Now, they may be related to the long-standing bits of bullying, so there's that, but the kids in the fight will not be charged with anything going forward. Here's the headline for the story at number 5 this morning. Chick-fil-A backtracks from its no antibiotics chicken pledge, blames projected supply shortages. Sorry for not reading that very well, but Chick-fil-A had a message earlier in the weekend that said it was going to some non-antibiotic in chicken going forward, and then they backed away from it. What happened? I don't really know. They said they were going to maintain what they had for a decade, but they said they're going to go to a different chicken, and they're not going to. What they're blaming right now is essentially saying there is a shortage of chicken. So with that, they're going to buy this chicken for a limited time, but they're not going to non-antibiotic in chicken forever. They're just going to use this for the moment. Why did they say this? I don't know. The PR is usually really good at this stuff. They usually don't screw this stuff up. We'll see what happens with this one going forward, and whether they're going to unpledge the pledge, that makes any sense, and go back to the chicken that is the antibiotics in chicken, or stay with the antibiotics out chicken. Chicken. Let's go to another story that's another interesting one that's causing issues and headaches for many parents and some kids around the nation. Another fast food snafu could delay students' financial aid even longer. If you are a college student or have a kid in college or know a kid trying to get through college and you know they're having issues with money, blame the government. It really is their fault this time. The Department of Education recently disclosed that a newly identified miscalculation in the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, it's how most people get their money, Pell Grants and things like that, and the process will necessitate the reprocessing, again, of hundreds of thousands of applications. That's hundreds of thousands of applications. Could be potential delays to financial aid for numerous students around the nation, confounding delays from the first batch in January. This is another one going through. We'll see what happens going forward. So if you're a student waiting for cash for school, it's going to be a little bit longer. If you're trying to get your things in early for the fall, make sure your paperwork is done early, because obviously we're having issues with stuff like this. But this is an issue where you can actually blame the feds. It's the government's fault that your money's not there. It actually is their fault, and they are taking claim for it. They can't fix it. It's still going to be late, but they're taking some claim for it for FAFSA filers. At number 7 this morning, Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire cuts ties with Candace Owens amid Israel fraud. Feud. I don't say fraud. I don't know where that came from. Bad reading because poor eyes today. Apologies for that one. But it's a feud. The feud is between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, although there's a feud between Israel and folks in Gaza. There is that actually going on. But what happened was a tweet came down come Friday saying that Candace Owens has no longer works for Daily Wire. She has had Kai's cut. And then she said, I'm finally free, and sent links to her website where you have to pay to see anything, because she's a grifter. Now, the biggest thing about what's going on is this is something that's been seemingly boiling for months, as Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens have been beefing, not so much in the same space, but on X and sort of around each other in interviews about Israel. Candace Owens is basically saying the Israelis aren't so much the good guys in this thing. And Ben Shapiro, very pro-Israel, is saying Candace Owens needs to kind of shut her mouth, but isn't going to fire her. Technically, Jeremy Boring fired her, so there was that. So all that's there. The other thing is Candace Owens has been doing a lot of different media, a lot of black media, if you will, being on the Breakfast Club one morning and hanging out with Joe Budden one day for his podcast. So it looks like she's trying to expand herself, get some reach going over, and maybe rebranding herself as the new black conservative person, not just so much the conservative on Daily Wire. Not going to work out for anybody. But people love her. Trust me, we did a hot take and people talk about how much they love her. They will follow her to where she goes. They will pay her wherever she's going. This is an interesting story. Another interesting story. Back on Spotify is Joni Mitchell, who's joining Neil Young in the return to Spotify after the Joe Rogan boycott. A few months back, Neil Young sort of quietly went back to Spotify, and a few days ago, Joni Mitchell did as well. She popped up and then she disappeared. So we wanted to post this story literally, middle of the week last week. But while Twitter and X were all a giggle about Joni Mitchell being on Spotify, they pulled her off again. Now this weekend, she is back officially. So millennials who don't have a love for Joni Mitchell, you better get some Joni Mitchell now, because you don't know what you've been missing for quite some time. And fans like myself who've loved her forever now get a chance to blast some Joni Mitchell in between my Big Daddy Kane and my Tone Loc, because I have a really eclectic mix of music going forward. But you can get back to Joni Mitchell on your Spotify, back on the streaming service. Not sure how much money she's actually getting from that. We do know Joe Rogan's getting a whole lot of money from his stuff, but not sure how much money it actually means to both Joni Mitchell and Neil Young. But what it really means is exposure, which is what it's all about these days, is the exposure going forward. Yeah, last week we talked about the celebration for the 18th birthday of Barron Trump, and we were happy about that. We also put the caveat, he's 18, back the hell off. There's no reason to be bumping up to Barron Trump. You know who else is saying that? Chelsea Clinton, who knows a few things about this thing, as she defends Barron Trump from being targeted by the media, quote, unimpeachable right to privacy. That's what she says that Barron has going forward. All the other Trumps are fair game. They are fair game because they are older and they've played in the political lives of their father. Even Tiffany is fair game, although I love me some Tiffany. She's really sweet and she's trying to play with her big brothers and sister, but she's still Tiffany Trump. Barron Trump is 6'7", we believe, and that's it. All you can say about Barron Trump is that kid is tall. He should play basketball instead of soccer. That kid is tall. That is it. And someone who knows about this, Chelsea Clinton, who was, of course, slammed while she was in the White House as a child all this time. And as Trump goes back to the White House, although technically he's probably going to college, so he won't be going back to the White House, it will be a thing. But hey, back off Barron Trump. Back off Barron Trump. The old man? Oh, he's fair game. D Jr. and then that other idiot? Oh, sure, go for it. Barron, leave him the hell alone. Now, our final story for this morning, 10 stories for this Monday morning. The headline for that one, sorry I'm missing other videos, I'll apologize for that in a minute. This is good news wrap up for your Monday, get your week started. Happy Gilmore star Christopher McDonald says sequel in the works. Christopher McDonald, famous for his role in Happy Gilmore, has indicated that a sequel is in the works. Or the word he used, in discussion. Adam Sandler, the star of the original movie, previously shown support for doing this thing because everybody loved it. And then Sandler mentioned on Dan Patrick show, get the word straight, that he'd approve of it. It'd be a great project to get into, whether Happy's in it or not particularly. So it's in development right now. Now, how to do a Happy Gilmore movie or sequel without both Bob Barker and Carl Weathers, is going to be an interesting thing to do, because if you continue on, they were key parts to the story. Bob Barker and his fight with Adam Sandler basically made the movie. We will see if this thing actually comes to fruition, because, everything new is old again, or old is new again, and people are really trying to cash some checks. That's what's happening here. In apologies, errors, and omissions, we added some new things last minute, and we had a long weekend based on a lot of long things happening going on. So if you followed me, if you're one of our actual partners, you got an email this week that had kind of updates on the life behind the scenes, which isn't going so great. If you want some details, you can email me and get some of those things, or just be a partner. We detail you all the things going on. But the apologies are going to, for this morning, I don't know why I do know why. My screens are kind of weird. So when I click the article, I see the picture in my rundown, but I don't see it over there in the screen that's up to you guys. So I've been delayed there. Got to work on that. You guys toss some money my way, we'll get a producer. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. We're omitting one story, though. With 10 stories in the feed, one story quickly we're going to hit to is this one. Headline: James Carville says he quit teaching at LSU over concerns of campus culture that make him scared to death. Scared to death is in quotes there. So very quickly on this one, and this was the number 8 story, ranked by your engagement out of 30 stories for the weekend. So this one you guys really dug a bit, but it was hard to kind of make it fit into the narrative. So, but I want to put this in there, bugging you real quickly. Carville recently said he left teaching at LSU. It was due to basically fear of offending students, because students get mad when you say things they don't like, fear of criticizing his party, because his party he thinks is a bunch of idiots, and the president himself, Biden, because he's not sure why he's still in charge, and of course calling for new leadership, going along with thinking his party are idiots and President Biden should be in charge. One of the mans that was instrumental in getting Bill Clinton into office way back in the day, and one man they basically pulled to for insight, because he tells it like he sees it, with his Cajun accent and his really weird glasses, and while he's wearing LSU stuff and looking like an old dude, is basically because he is. But his brand of politics, his brand of speaking, his brand of consulting isn't really working for the brands these days. As he said, people get upset, and you can't upset the children. And some of the children are actually in Congress, which is an interesting thing. So there's that as well. Let's go to our teaser story for the day. This is a story that we could talk about tomorrow if you deem it worthy of chit chat. How do you deem it worthy of chit chat? Oh, it's really simple. You just go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project, and Twitter or X, whichever one you call it, the .com, and then add a th_conversation. What do you get from those things? Every 50 minutes, we're posting news stories from various sources, like today, which we were a little suspect of, but we gotta find it from someplace. If you like it, engage in it. If you don't like it, don't engage in it. The higher score of engagement is the higher chance we have to talk about it. For this day, we gave you 10 stories that were of the top 30 stories from the entire weekend, from Friday morning to a little bit of this morning, and we looked at them, ranked them up, got your top 30, picked 10 of them that kind of worked well as the best for the headlines, and went from there. Tomorrow will be 8 of the top 15 out of 30. We'll get 30 or so in a day. We'll take top 15. 8 of them will be there. Will we talk this one? Because we did not talk about Chris Christie not ruling out his bid for being in No Labels, because we teased that on Friday and you didn't give that the love. Will you love this one here? Adam Silver hints NBA might abolish All-Star Game with a quote: "We should all just be looking to do different things. All-Star Game has been more of a flip and less of a flop." More of a flop, less of a flip. I'm not sure how that metaphor was going to go, but it's not been great lately and not pulling in many eyeballs. It's a spectacle. It's great. The little glowing floor they had this year was kind of something special. And the matchup between a man and a woman shooting 3-pointers was phenomenal. The problem is it's a big party for famous people, but nobody at home is watching it on TV. It's not like the NHL All-Star Game where people are actually watching because they want to see people out skating rinks in the middle of baseball fields, and it's not like the baseball where it kind of matters because they're playing for the playoff berth, and it isn't even like the football one where it's flag football and nobody cares, but it just it kills some time. Basketball, NBA All-Star Game is a little off. And we're spending more time on this one right now than we should. So let's see if you want to actually talk this one up and get some actual details tomorrow. Go to our feeds and let me know if this is a story you want to chat up tomorrow. It's that simple. Let's talk about our spotlight sponsor for the day, and it is the Blinkist app. And since I spent so much time on the actual spotlight, actual teaser story, I've got to be brief with this one, which is great because Blinkist is about being brief. It allows you to read very long, very big, very thick nonfiction and autobiographies in short periods of time. An unabridged 18-hour book can get done in 30 minutes, not quite 30 minutes or so. A regular standard 4-hour book, usually about 12 to 15 minutes. And you can read it in the blinks or you can listen to those blinks. Blinks is the condensed versions, the real pure essence of the stories that you get from Blinkist. Plus, you can share the love of these books in Blinkist spaces. More details, go to our website, click this link. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is theconversationproject.com/BLINKIST. This is an affiliate link, so if you add the app to your repertoire and get a subscription, we get a small commission, and it helps make things work around here much better. You know what else makes it works around here much better? Your partnerships. So we are looking for more partners to join into the Conversation Project. It's very simple. Go to our website. This is theconversationproject.com and click on the partnerships link. We're giving love to Harold Braxton and Colby Green, which give more love on Wednesday because they are partners and they're helping us out with $5 a month to the cause. Now, you can go to our website, this is theconversationproject.com, click on the sponsors link and see more of our sponsors. Click on the partnership links and become a partner. There are various ways to get that way. And see all the things we do behind the scenes and in front of the scenes to give you news, headline stories all day, all night, all weekend, all the time. You can also, if you're not really up to spending the money or you don't think we've quite earned it yet, we'll keep earning it if you do a couple things for us that cost you very little. The feeds, we've said those before, Facebook and Twitter. Go to our feeds and engage with the stories so that we know what stories to talk about in the future. That's how this thing works. Also, email me. Email the show at theconversationinbox@gmail.com, and you can tell me things to do, and I'll try to do my best to do them. And if we do better on that one, maybe you'll become a partner and help us out with more things going forward. We appreciate all that you do for us, whether it's more or less just the engagement thing, or if you're an actual partner or into one of our sponsors and help us out financially. We engage in all that stuff and love that stuff profusely. And now, fun stuff as promised. We've promised you the fun stuff for today, and the fun stuff for today begins with birthdays. Birthdays begin with Elton John. Celebrating Elton John's 77th birthday. He's no longer so much rocket manning as he's retired from concert going, but he's still out there doing things, playing in his mansion, playing with his dogs, having fun with his husband, throwing money into fire pits. I don't know, whatever Elton John's doing right now. But hey, he's 77 years old. He has earned the time off. So thank you for that. History lesson today. Going back to 1979, the first fully functional space shuttle orbiter, that was Columbia, was delivered to John F. Kennedy Space Center to be prepared for its first launch. This was a big deal. This was a huge deal and a really big deal for folks of my generation, kids who grew up watching Space Shuttle going up, and of course, us who actually grew up after Discovery, exploded in re-entry and how that changed space flight. This right here, Columbia having a space shuttle, changed space flight with reusable space shuttles, which is a great thing until it wasn't such a great thing. Space is a very dangerous thing. There's a new documentary on it from CNN coming in about a week or so, talking about this discovery and what happened with that one. But right now, we're going to celebrate the actual beginning of the launches of the space shuttle, a beautiful piece of machinery happening at least soon on this day, but delivered on this day in 1979. Your celebration for the day is International Waffle Day. And I'm sure it was made up by the Waffle House Federation so they can get people in to buy waffles. But you can't really fault waffles. Waffles are delicious. Waffles are tasty. Different style of waffles. There's, your regular old waffle. You can get a Belgian waffle. Various other cultures have waffles of different textures, different tastes going forward. So waffles are something that are semi-universal. Chicken and waffles, always great. So if you can find some chicken and get yourself a waffle, you can celebrate that. There actually is a chicken and waffle day as well. Today it's just about waffles. So if you don't have time for chicken, get a toaster waffle and go with it. Just celebrate a waffle. Find a waffle in your life today. Oh, by the way, we don't have a slide for it, but we actually did get into the new stuff and try to get into joining new things and getting to our new feature, joining with something I'm calling the Big Words Project. And the Big Words Project has a word for the day. Today's word is gratis, Gratis, and it means costing nothing. Go to thebigwordsproject.com and see more details about the Big Words Project. Coming this week, we have a big announcement for the Big Words Project as we're launching something really big to explain how the whole thing goes. So that is coming towards the end of this week. So be prepared for that big, big, big news ahead. Meanwhile, the news for today is done. Monday, March 25th, 2024. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. This has been Things You Might Have Heard, and we are glad to have you with us for our show here. Stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task for all the grand things you're here to do all around the world for us here and for the folks who are actually nearby you that can be literally touched. Love you, mean it. Follow us on our feed so we know what to talk about, to consider being a partner so we know we can do more stuff, and prepare for a grand Monday. Spring break is over for us, so it's back to the grind, back to normal. We'll see how back to normal we'll get for this Monday, and be preparing for a great broadcast, 5:50 a.m. going live for you, Central Time, tomorrow morning, wherever your videos are cast.